A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and on the Steam Deck there's no compatibility thing, so let's launch the game right away as it is. Once we are into the game, if you go to the options, I found something super interesting in the video settings. I wasn't able to go above 720 or below it. I wasn't able to tweak quality or anything. So it does have a Steam Deck option, so a Steam Deck quality preset, and it's using performance FSR. So it's actually 50% resolution. Seems to be a little bit too excessive, I'd say. Maybe they kept it like this to be safe. Maybe it's the lowest settings, maybe something below the lowest settings, but I don't know. The thing is, this, how you see it right now, is very pixelated. We're into the game, and one thing that I did notice that, well, apart from the black bars on the top and bottom of the screen, because 16:9, we got the shadows, but the game looks very pixelated, which again makes sense because, well, we're actually at 50% resolution, but in this area, the forest, looking this way on the PC version, already was getting drops into the 20s on, I mean, this part was dropping frames like crazy on the PC, so I'm not entirely sure why they went that low with the settings on Steam Deck. I mean, this is a game I will play at 30 FPS, there's also no HDR, but it's using all the RAM and basically all the VRAM. So I think we should do tweaks on our own. Okay, so I tried a few commands. One of them was forcing the X12, the X11, or even telling the game Steam Deck equals 0, telling the game. The issue is, when I try launching it like this, it basically crashes my entire Steam Deck, and there's nothing I can do about it. The game just crashes. So once we launch the game telling it, hey, we're not a Steam Deck, it just freezes over there and stays like that. So yeah, I don't know what else to try. So let's play the game with the provided settings by the developer forcefully on Steam Deck. Well, what's the thing about this game? In this game, it's kind of like Alien Isolation, but on the A Quiet Place world. So if you make noise, the monster gets you and you die, basically. And what to say, stepping over water makes it that there's more noise. There's also a noise meter that I do not remember. There we go. And you can also enable the microphone in order to get your voice actually affecting the game's monsters. So if you're speaking like me right now, the green bar should increase, which means the monster will get after you. Well, it's very dark right now, you barely can see anything, probably. But in here's where I drop frames, and this game has all the UI5 features. It even has hardware ray tracing. The thing is, the flickering lights make the upscaling even more obvious. When it comes to that, it's fine, but the thing is, we're locked behind the settings that they chose for the Steam Deck. I think the ideal scenario would be to keep it like this at the beginning, but if the user decides to go into the options menu, let them change the options. That's my opinion, of course. Because I think here we have a little bit of room to spare to reach 30 FPS. Again, this area is where I drop frames on the PC the most. Although I think they went actually above low settings. On low settings, this red light wouldn't cast a shadow. So that's cool that they did that. So as you can probably notice, this is a very aggressive upscaling. It's 50% 720p, which is kind of the usual for UE5. Again, I think for this one we could push the resolution a bit higher, maybe to quality FSR instead of performance. So let's jump into portable, so you can see how it looks on the smaller screen, because blowing up on a big screen is probably a bad idea. It will look worse than it actually does. Alright, so since it's usually very dark in this game, there's one section that I'm showing you right now that is actually daytime. And I don't know if you can notice this, but I very obviously notice it, is the amount of chunkiness of the pixels. It's clearly not the lowest settings, but at the same time, the upscaling is so aggressive Just moving the camera is, yeah, pixels everywhere. Very sharp pixels everywhere. Even around the characters, I mean, it doesn't look good like this. I wish I could increase the FSR, maybe manually. There's clearly lumen happening in the reflections. So we have software ray tracing, which is nice. But the pixelation is so obvious when moving the camera, considering the amount of foliage on screen. You can probably even notice this in the video. So let's go back to nighttime so you can see how it looks like. And here the pixelation still happens, especially around the foliage. I don't really like how FSR is upscaling this. I would even try TSR if possible. But in the forest is where it drops into the mid-30s on daytime. I don't know how often that happens. But especially on blinking lights such as this one, you're going to notice the aliasing even more. Well, I like the visuals that they chose for the preset on the Steam Deck. Still looks pretty good. I'll probably just allow the players to change the upscaling amount. I think this is a little bit too much upscaling. On the OLED, you can maybe, with an upscaling so aggressive, you can probably keep it at 45 and have the best experience. And again, the game looks pretty good, considering they chose settings for the Steam Deck. But at the same time, I wish they gave us a choice to increase the resolution, because the upscaling is way too much. Depending on how much you're moving, that meter will tell you at the left how much ambient noise there is, and at the right how much noise you are making. And you can actually make it so your microphone is actually detected as well, so you can put yes to the microphone. Alright, and as you'll see, when I speak into the Steam Deck, I'm actually getting a reading. So if I'm speaking in the microphone, the monster found me. The threshold was a little bit too much, but I'm screaming at the microphone. But out of the box, it works well on the Steam Deck, and I don't have to speak on the microphone. Yeah, just adjust the threshold a little bit, but the game will notice when you speak into the microphone. If you want this to work properly, make sure that you move the threshold and the sensitivity, so you don't make the mic super sensitive, so everything you say, bleh, you're dead. In this case, I'll turn it off because I'm talking to you guys. So yeah, the microphone thing is super interesting because, well, you don't have to set anything up into the Steam Deck specifically. Just launch the game, enable the microphone in the gameplay options, and you're good to go. It'll work. So yeah, again, my main complaint for this one is about the resolution scale. I wish I could affect the FSR quality to something higher, because it's really a very aggressive upscaler. 50%, I mean, in UE5 games I usually do performance FSR, but on this one I think we have some room to spare to put it, I don't know, maybe quality upscaling, which is a better pixel count without sacrificing as much visuals. I mean, even in the smaller screen you can notice the upscaling. So I'm glad that they have a Steam Deck setting, which is good to see. It has a good amount of shadows, shadow resolution is good. But at the same time, I wish they allowed us to affect the upscaler. Because again, in these parts, in the forest and all that, is when it drops the most on PC. And on the Steam Deck is way above 30 with performance FSR. So if we could increase the resolution and use the entire screen as well, so 16:10 support, I will highly appreciate it. But I think if you're using headphones and you're connecting a mic and you want to play this super stealthily, trying to not make any sound in real life either, I mean, even if you kick these cans, you make noise, so you gotta pay attention. In one of those sections that they show you lures for the first time, you can distract the monster. So the monsters are basically blind, but they can hear me. So if I move the stick way too quickly, I make more noise. So you gotta be careful what you do. But the lures in this game, so throwing something, is not a guarantee. So you shouldn't rely on that very much. Just don't step onto water for long. You should be good. But if you have the microphone on plus the normal difficulty, this should be a pretty interesting experience, in my opinion. Especially with the great blacks that the Steam Deck OLED gives you. Okay, I have to go all the way to the other side with this plank, but I have a strategy, which is grabbing a bottle, breaking that window, and go all the way back in here while the monster breaks open. So yeah, your character will be stressed out if they're close to the monster. But again, the monster is completely blind. They only hear sounds like the clickers in The Last of Us. So we're getting some drops actually into the mid-30s. So maybe a 30 FPS cap. Also there is a lighting bug here. So maybe 30 FPS makes more sense, but again, I wish we had an option for a higher resolution. Also, my character is completely killing her lungs. Hold up. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please let me know. This game is something I wasn't expecting to like, personally. But here we are. I'm playing the A Quiet Place game. On the Steam Deck, it's a bit disappointing that we cannot affect the options to make it run at a higher pixel count. Again, while on a smaller screen is less noticeable, such a low resolution with FSR, I don't know, maybe allow us to use TSR or maybe some other upscaler. FSR here is just way too pixelated. In the flashlight we get decent performance, so... And again, this is where it dropped the most for me on PC. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.